Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Educator Showdown of the Century. In this corner, we've got the powerhouse of the classroom, the social studies superstar, teaching the standards with a smackdown of engagement, Mrs. Fernandez.
And in the other corner, weighing in with the knowledge of 10,000 books, the master media, the czar of curiosity, Mrs. Graves, your friendly school librarian. Today, we're not here to go head-to-head. We're here to show you how two powerhouse educators can tag team education to create the ultimate learning experience for our students. Edu-Tainment at its finest.
That's right. You might think we're from different worlds, the classroom and the library, but when we come together, we're an unstoppable force. Research shows that when teachers and librarians collaborate, students experience deeper learning, higher engagement, and a stronger grasp of content. It's like a tag team match where everybody wins.
Let's talk about one of our signature moves, content reinforcement. When Mrs. Graves and I collaborate, we reinforce what students learn in social studies by bringing those concepts to life in the library. For example, in my 6th grade social studies class, when we're learning about geography and history, Mrs. Graves helps me turn those lessons into immersive experiences. It's double the exposure to the content with double the impact.
And research shows that this type of reinforcement leads to better attention and understanding.
Take a geography unit, for instance. In class, we cover the standards in a traditional manner. Then in the library, Mrs. Graves and I set up a virtual tour where students travel and collect passport stamps for correctly identifying physical features and applying their newfound knowledge, complete with their own passport. The result? Students are learning through doing, and they're having a blast while they're at it.
Exactly, and this is where the magic of edutainment comes in. By combining our efforts, we create immersive, interactive learning experiences that make students excited to learn. They're not just memorizing facts, they're living the content.
Now let's talk about differentiation, a key move in our tag team strategy. By working together, we can tailor our approaches to meet the standards of the diverse students in our classroom. While I'm focused on delivering content that aligns with curriculum standards, Mrs. Graves brings in resources that cater to different reading levels, learning styles, and interests. It's like customizing the perfect finishing move for each student.
And differentiation isn't just a buzzword. It's essential for reaching all learners. By offering a variety of resources and activities, we can ensure that every student can engage with the material in a way that works best for them. We are meeting students where they are and helping them reach their full potential.
But now let's talk about something a little more tangy. Oh yeah, we're diving into one of our favorite tag team lessons, how we used a podcast called The Big Fib for National Pickle Day.
That's right, folks. National Pickle Day became the perfect opportunity to give our students a lesson they wouldn't forget. And what better way to do it than with a podcast that's all about figuring out the truth and the fibs. The Big Fib is a podcast where two people claim to be experts, but only one is the real deal. The other, total faker.
So we said, let's turn this into a research challenge. We had our students listen to an episode featuring two so-called pickle experts. One was telling the truth about all things pickles, how they're made, their history, and some wild pickle facts. The other expert, well, they're serving up some pretty convincing whoppers. The students had to figure out which one was telling the truth.
But here's where the learning really kicked in. After listening to the podcast, the students had to dive deep into their research skills. Using library databases and trusted online resources, they had to fact-check what they heard.
It was up to the students to decide. They had to use their critical thinking, evaluate the information, and figure out which expert was telling the truth. And let me tell you, this was no easy decision. The fibber was pretty convincing.
And of course, we had to sweeten the deal. At the end of the challenge, those who identified the true pickle expert were rewarded with, you guessed it, pickle prizes.
Students were suddenly pickle fanatics, and more importantly, they were researching like pros. They loved the challenge and was a great way to get them invested in learning, fact-checking, without them even realizing it.
It's one of those lessons where engagement and education blend together perfectly. By using the Big Fib, students were learning how to differentiate between fact and fiction, sharpen their research skills, and have fun doing it, all while celebrating National Pickle Day.
But hold on to your hats because we're about to take this tag team to a whole new level. You know what students love just as much as learning? A chance to win. So we said, why not gamify the classroom? And that's when we pulled out the ultimate crowd pleaser. Let's make a deal.
Imagine this. Students walking into the library for a test review, but today isn't just any test review. No way. Today it's game show day.
First, the students answer review questions to earn play money. The more they answer correctly, the more they rack up. But then they've got to decide, do they want to keep their winnings or trade it in for what's behind curtain number 1, curtain number 2, or curtain number 3.
And what's behind those curtains, you might ask? It could be anything from yummy snacks like candy bars and chips to the ultimate class favorite, a potato.
And that's the magic of it. They're not just reviewing for tests. They're having fun, working together, and building excitement for learning. I've had students beg for more review games just so they could win another potato. Who knew, right?
And it's not just about the prizes. This kind of gamified learning taps into their competitive spirit and motivates them to engage with the content. Research shows that when students are having fun, they're more likely to retain the information and participate fully. It's edutainment at its finest.
And guess what? When they're so focused on the game, they're actually reviewing critical content without even realizing it. And when test day rolls around, those concepts are locked in.
So, when you gamify learning with something like Let's Make a Deal, you're not just reviewing for a test, you're creating an experience. And whether they leave with a stack of snacks or that famous potato, the real win is the knowledge they take with them.
But wait, we've got one more tag team move to show you. And this is about getting all these stuff. Now, before you think we're all about pickles and potatoes, it's also about making sure our students have the tools they need to learn in a creative, hands-on way. And how do we make that happen? By writing grants together.
That's right. We knew we wanted to bring more interactive resources into the classroom and the library, so we set our sights on some grant opportunities. One of our first victories, getting podcast equipment for the library. We wanted students not just to listen to great educational podcasts like The Big Fib, but to create their own. And now, thanks to that grant, students are recording their own podcasts on everything from historical events to test reviews. They're learning research, public speaking, and tech skills all in one project.
And it doesn't stop there. I love teaching using Rubik's Cubes. They teach problem solving and critical thinking and social studies. Well, we teamed up again to secure a grant for a class set of Rubik's Cubes. Now I'm using them in the classroom, and Mrs. Graves has them available in the library too. Whether we're reviewing geography or discussing historical figures, students are working hands-on with those cubes to challenge themselves while connecting with the curriculum.
And that's the key. Every grant we write, every project we plan, it's all done with the curriculum in mind. We're not just adding fun activities, we're making sure these resources align with what students are learning in class. We make sure it all ties back to supporting academic growth.
Because when you have a team of educators working together, you can accomplish anything for your students. By combining our voices, we create a grant proposal that no one can say no to.
Plus, collaborative grant writing between teachers and librarians increases the chances of securing funding. Why? Because we're showing a whole school impact, not just a single classroom. When funders see the big picture, how students will benefit in multiple ways, they're more likely to invest.
So, what's the takeaway here? By tag teaming education, we're not just teaching content, we're creating immersive, memorable experiences that resonate with students long after the bell rings. We're making learning fun, accessible, and effective. And we're showing our students that when we work together, we can achieve great things.
That's right. Whether it's planning cross-curricular projects or co-teaching lessons, the possibilities are endless when teachers and librarians join forces. So get out there and start tag teaming in your own schools. Together we can turn every classroom and library into a ring where every student is a champion.
Let's do this, team. Who's ready to tag in and bring some edutainment to your students?
Let's get ready to rumble with knowledge.